I don't know what it is about the Day of the Dead paint for women. Um, well, the paint in general, but especially when it's on women. It's just beautiful to me. I love the design. I would really like it. Like, I like when they use that for Lady Death, for Deadpool. It, it makes me happy. I like it. Oh shit. Hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fun with Flame. I'm your host Daniel the Flame, and today I'm going to be doing a anime review over Tenchi Muyo AI. If you have no fucking idea what I'm talking about, good for you. If you do have any idea what I'm talking about, then most likely you didn't watch it, because I didn't watch it at first. When this was announced, I assumed, brand new Tenchi, thought it was going to be okay, and then I proceeded to look at the first, two episodes of it, but then I immediately stopped because it became incredibly annoying to even to just watch it. Period. It became incredibly annoying, so I just stopped. But let's get down to the nitty gritty. Tenchi Muyo AI is an anime based off the Tenchi Muyo series. Now, this anime actually had a string of it had 50 episodes in total. Here's the kicker. Each episode in grand total was about 5 minutes long in length. Right. Really, really stupid. This is not that uncommon of a thing in anime. In fact, it happens a lot, more times than you would probably even think. There are a lot of anime that have basically gone through more than 2 or 3 seasons doing just that. Having 5 minutes of an episode, stringing on for a bunch of episodes, and it works out. It's pretty cool. But this Tenchi Muyo was just god awful. I mean, awful. Man, was it bad. I can't even begin to describe exactly how disappointed and disgusted I was with this anime, simply because of the fact that I biasly am a huge Tenchi Muyo fan. Is that a word, biasly? But I am a huge Tenchi Muyo fan. Damn near seen it all. Love almost everything about it. I know the lore to a very, woo, boy do I know the lore. But it it just, man, I'm trying to do two things at once here, and I should stop. But I was incredibly annoyed with this anime simply because of the fact that Tenchi Muyo AI somehow finds a way to meticulously put in every single bad trope in a harem inside of that anime. Now, I have gone on record multiple times stating how much I like harems and how much I understand how they function, their playthrough, and things like that. Now, there's a lot of tropes in harems that basically can be counted up to just how anime does anime. And it's usually only done for those that are essentially not really one person passion project, but more so something to key in on the craze that is the anime. That is anime. So they will usually over incorporate and initiate things like the fucking typical harem crap, or lame ass every once in a while lame type of introduction of girls, or collection of characters, or just one note characters that have absolutely no type of depth to them whatsoever, in a hopes of cashing in on that, or that basically the fandom of anime will supersede the generic unoriginality of the anime that they created. This is something that's done a lot in anime. It's something that you see a lot, and awkwardly enough, these are the anime that tend to get made far more than the ones that are done for passion's sake, that are actually a creator's blood, sweat, and tears, or something that goes outside of the norm. Awkwardly enough, the ones that tend to be more popular are the ones that go outside of the norm, while the ones that they continue to copy and redo over and over again are the generic cliche ones that everyone basically come to expect in anime, but essentially don't really care for. Case in point, the popularity of Cowboy Bebop, Trigun, and Gundam, when there is no other anime that copies said formats. Yet, people will clamor on forever how much they love something like Gundam Wing or Cowboy Bebop and Trigun, while more so or not, you will always constantly get a slice of life anime. And, it's just, they burn the candle at both ends whenever they're doing stuff. But for Tenchi Muyo AI, they essentially did this as well. They stuck it full of tropes, and they just slapped on the name Tenchi to it in hopes that, for whatever reason, this would be something that people would like or care to see. Nothing could be further from the truth. This anime had something that truly, so truly, pissed me off. Now, I watched the dub version because, duh. But the main reason I watched the dub version is because in the dub version, the original voice actress for Ryoko, from Tenchi, from so many years ago, back when it first came on Toonami, and everyone loved Tenchi and it was great, the original voice actor Ryoko came to reprise the role of Ryoko for Tenchi Muyo AI. Annoyingly enough, she did not do this for Tenchi Muyo Ryo-Oki, which is the actual successor to the Tenchi Muyo series. Son of a bitch. So, wait, was it? Did she not do it for Ryo-Oki? I believe so. I can't remember. I need to rewatch that. Haven't seen it in a while. But, so, she was on there. She reprised her role for Ryoko. Ridiculously enough, they did not have the voice actors for Washu. They did not have the voice actors for Ayeka, nor the one for Mihoshi. They had the Mihoshi that they started to use on the new stuff. She first was kind of initiated in Tenchi Muyo GXP, and then that's just basically been the Mihoshi voice ever since. So, that's whatever. But, the anime was very, very bad. In the very first episode, they tried to introduce a slew of brand new women into the Tenchi Muyo mythos, or the pseudo harem that it is, or that it has. And immediately from that, all that you got from the anime was that this was more so something that was not intended or created with Tenchi Muyo in mind, but more so created with just the outer shell of it having Tenchi to its name in order to justify a lot of the plot progression or or essentially just to promote the anime in general, without actually having any real thought needing to be put into it. So, the ridiculousness of that is that this would probably work for anything that has such a... If anything, it would have been better to initiate or redo this anime from a blank slate standpoint. That way they didn't really need to use the Tenchi Muyo name. Because the fact that Tenchi Muyo is so deep and riddled with story and lore, as it goes in like so many layers to their lore, adding something like this just makes it really, really ridiculous. And it should be further noted that this anime was and always intended for a promotional reason for the mountain that Tenchi Muyo is technically located near. It was supposed to be used as a tourist attraction. So they made this anime to increase tourists to visit said mountain, and then they use the legendary tale for the mountain, which is about a Momotaru, I believe. It's a boy, and there's like peach blossoms, something like that. He traveled with companions to defeat an Oni. And it's a well-known Japanese story, and they use this as a basis for a lot of the new characters that were shown up, or all the females, because those are the only characters that did show up in the series, to justify, and again, to increase a tourism aspect of it. So each character represented one of the characters from the Momotaro story and everything, and it just was shit. It just was really really shitty, really annoying, and really really dumb. The concept behind the anime was already completely terrible. Introducing Tenchi as someone who is helping out these people under the guise of Washu screwing up something, and then he's putting his all into actually contempt and being this teacher, who would then have multiple moments where Tenchi would show his training, super strength, special skills, or whatever, and then at the same time they would then show him be a typical harem protagonist where, a girl will punch him and he'd go flying in the air, or he would look upon a girl or accidentally fall on a girl, and then someone else takes it the wrong way rather than actually asking him, what happened? And he goes, well, I fell. And they, oh, okay, get up. So they had all of these cliches, and before you say, well, it's only like 5 minutes an episode, so what do you expect for depth? The entirety of everything, when added together, was at least 3 hours and some change long. So this was a very long series, and it basically, it being 50 episodes, meaning that within the anime season, how they portray and do seasons, technically this took the whole year. Well, this took a whole year up of watching an anime. And I feel bad for anyone who had to sit and go through that, because it was ultimately horrible. They introduced the main female for Tenchi Muyo AI, which was Momo, who is supposed to be the Momotaro main character, who is someone who's born from Peach Blossom. Uh, uh, Immediately, this character should have been taken in a negative standpoint, because this character shows up and their hair is pink. If you do not know, that is a red flag in a lot of anime that you might watch, that you're going to see something either generic, ridiculous, or ultimately stupid, as pink-haired characters tend to be this wide-eyed, I don't know anything, I want friends, friendship type character. And this is generally done over and over again in anime. And these characters basically don't get the real world, so certain things don't really click with them, almost as if they have just not even a lack of common sense, like no common sense whatsoever. I walk into a boy in the middle of the bath, and I just go, hey, why are you naked? Oh, can I join you too? And it's like, and all that does is just set up for typical cliche interactions in which moments are supposed to go where someone is embarrassed, or someone, oh, she saw me naked, or oh, this is uncomfortable. But ultimately, that innocence is supposed to drive you, the viewer, to believe that this is this character is someone that the main character just desperately wants to be with, or like this character is the hopeful, innocent person that any and all main people should fall in love with, or they should love. So it's an annoying character trait, but awkwardly enough, they ultimately always apply it to a girl that has pink hair. I don't know why. And with that ensuing stupidity towards that character, it is always believed and is always known and showcased, especially in a harem or a well-known IP like Tenchi Muyo, that essentially nothing is going to happen or matter with said character. Their development, their hopes, their dreams, their likes, their wants, all of that means shit. Simply because that the way how they are just can't be. Like, you just, not in the world that they initially brought them into. So it becomes basically uh, so essentially you start watching an anime where the main character is trying to create a world or create uh, somewhere where this wide-eyed innocent person can continue to be wide-eyed and innocent without seeing the harshness of the real world. So one of the things anime does is that they exclude real world shit. But without seeing the harshness of the real world. So then it becomes a thing with them going, I'm trying to protect them. I'm trying to make them look up to me. Blah, 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 blah. Just dumb after dumb after dumb. So, and this, all of this played out in Tenchi Muyo AI. And it was incredibly annoying and incredibly stupid. So, I hated watching every minute of it. I just I couldn't stand it. But, one of the there's absolutely no type of turning point. There's no type of character development. Every character is a one-note joke. You have the girl that basically is supposed to represent the dog in a Momotaro story, who's like completely obsessed and enamored with protecting the Momo girl. And what I thought was hilarious is that at the end of the series, the Momo girl disappears. So when they do show the group again of these characters that are basically all one-note jokes, her whole character was designed and meant to be about protecting the Momo girl. So now that the Momo girl was gone, what was her character? They didn't, and then she doesn't speak or talk, or you don't see anything that would clarify that, or to show that there was more to her than they initially showcased. But no, they're all literally one note jokes, and they're terrible because that's one note joke characters are in fact terrible. Like I said, there's no depth, there's no complexity, there's nothing to gain from this. And again, all of this was just used as promotional. You know, the anime was just used for promotional reasons, but it just was bad. It just was bad and uninteresting. Like there was no point in even trying to look at the anime or watch it or be interested in anything like that. They didn't show or talk about the damn mountain. There wasn't anything that they did that even remotely was uh, canonical towards the Momotaro story that would even make you go, oh, well, this matches up really well, or something that make you even interested in that story, or to have just a different change in viewpoint and how that story actually plays out, which would have been fan-freaking-tastic, you know? Like, I would have liked to see, you know, just you take the Momotaro story, you implement the Tenchi Muyo characters into it, and you just have fun with that. But no, they wanted to take the characters in the Momotaro. They're supposed to represent these whoever's, and then they went from there. So it essentially was like if you was to take Dragon Ball Z characters and combine them with characters from Catcher in the Rye. You see how out of place and dumb that sounds? You know, there's so much lore and everything to Dragon Ball Z, but then the Catcher in the Rye characters are also, are equally, if not just as strong as the Dragon Ball Z characters. So you can see how that is ultimately really, really, really dumb, and it just comes off terrible, just so terrible. There's nothing to it at all. God, I hated it. So you have a character like that was a one-note joke. You also have a character that was the vice president of the student council. In this story, they make it to where the student council, like in a cliche standpoint, is the most important and important factor to any and everyone. So the whole school is ran by the student council. There is a science club which wants to go against the student council because the student council controls exactly who gets how much money in order for them to do things. The the anime in its entirety, because of how it ends and because of the progression and because of how things turned out and played out, makes literally all characters' meaning, um, all of their wants, their desires, anything that they did that gave them some semblance of, you know, This character has a strong definition for this. It all disappears by the end of the anime, and then there is no clarification that no, it wasn't this situation that made them like this. These characters are like this. You got nothing from that. You don't freaking know if that's anything, because there was nothing else that mattered once the Momo girl disappeared. So then there was nothing else to see. Um, really dumb, really dumb. There was a character, it was a vice president character who basically came off as the typical, ooh, I'm the not the sex crazed one, but I can I really want to, I'm interested in this man who isn't interested in me, and no, nor does he want to do anything to me. And it just, Jesus Christ, even thinking about this pissed me off. They have moments where they stripped Tenchi straight naked. He was complaining, whining, and crying about it. And then he would fight a giant robot where this nigga basically proved that he was like 10 times stronger than any normal person. There's a girl with super strength who tried to punch Tenchi in the face, and he blocked her punch and he told her no. Then there was another moment where he just said, he was like, man, you girls are really, he said, you girls are really weak or something like that. And then she just clocked him dead in the face. He went spinning, and it seemed like he had like no type of muscle whatsoever. And that type of contradiction in story and character really annoys the shit out of me. Especially considering the fact that Tenchi damn near has superpowers in accordance to who he is and what he is. They did way too many things that basically broke the line or blurred the line between different Tenchis. Almost so as if the story itself was created by someone who does not know anything of Tenchi Muyo, but was basically told about Tenchi Muyo by someone who seen only Tenchi Universe. And then it was like, but this character isn't in Muyo. This character is only, this character's in Universe. This character's in Muyo. So they had that. But one of the one of the many dumb things was the fact that, boy, do I love my gummies. But one of the other dumb factors behind that would go with the ignorance of the lore. So they had Mahoshi's robot suit, which is only in Tenchi Universe, but they only had Mahoshi, who's, when Mahoshi's by herself, that's Tenchi Muyo. So there's no Kione, who does not exist in Tenchi Muyo, but she does exist in Tenchi Universe. The relationship between Washu and Ryoko wasn't really established or talked upon, which basically would make a lot of sense. They also had a moment where basically it seems like the main bad guys in the series was the Galaxy Police, the foremost good guys throughout the Tenchi Muyo series, as well as the fact that they would mistreat and talk down to Mahoshi, especially considering the end shows her doing a whole bunch of paperwork. When Mihoshi is given special privilege because she's a part of the family that runs the Galaxy Police, so no one really messes with her. She really doesn't have a superior outside of people in her family who are high-ranking officers. But again, that's Tenchi Muyo lore. But the fact that they ignored this, annoying. They had her do like a thing where she was working for arbitrary reasons, and again, that only applies to Tenchi Universe, not Tenchi Muyo. And also, I know a lot of people might say that Kione is in Tenchi Muyo, but she's in the manga, not the anime. I know my shit. I loves me some Tenchi. So, the annoyance factor behind them ignoring the lore, ignoring normal concepts, basically typical things that you would expect within the Tenchi Muyo series, and then them using the Tenchi Muyo name, again, goes back to what I reiterated about using someone's name and combining them with characters, but then just ultimately ignoring what these characters are capable of and what they can do, just for the namesake of your animates, in order to have cheap jokes, cheap shots, and bland characters or whatnot, is dumb. It's really dumb, uncreative, and basically incredibly boring. And now, as there are no positive points to this anime, which is terrible to say, and I mean that in every sense of the word. There is no positive points to this anime. There are no characters that are worth anything. No character outside of the main Momo girl even spends time with Tenchi to establish some type of relationship that would want or justify half of them blushing whenever this man grabs their arm, which is again freaking cliche harem crap. And it's like, he grabbed my arm while we was running for our lives. I think I'm in love. It's just, I hate when I see that. But again, just that annoying, annoying fucking just cliche bullshit that comes with that is incredibly ridiculous. Awkwardly enough, while watching this, I basically came to this conclusion because it's something that I've pondered about for a long fucking time. Tenchi Muyo is essentially the original, uh, the one that started a lot of harem tropes and crazes. Awkwardly enough, a lot of the stuff that was started because of Tenchi Muyo basically was started incorrectly. Uh, so more so, some of the things were basically not taken out of context, but more so just done wrong. Um, what I mean by this is the simple fact that in so some of the things that they did were like let's say it's I'm trying to think like all of them are flashing in my head. I'm trying to just pick one. Essentially, in harems, most of the time you're going to get a know-it-all lowly. That comes from Washu. But Washu basically goes outside of the realm of a typical know-it-all lowly because of the fact that Washu herself isn't confined into the form of a little girl. See, now the new thing is that basically their body size is that of a very small petite girl, and then they're a part of the harem group or whatever. See, case in point, the JDSF goes through a magic gate, that anime, something like that, and there's like a god chick who's like 1,200 years old, and she's about as small as like an 8-year-old girl. And then her whole shtick is that she's constantly telling the main character that she really wants to have sex with him. And he's like, oh, but it's a little girl. But she is like this old. Oh, what do I do? And it's weird. It's super weird. While as in Tenchi Muyo, you have Washu who's able to actually manipulate her form, and she chooses the form of a child in her antics because of an actual conditioning and a deep reasoning. She had a child, she was married, her child was taken away from her because of family stipulations. So, because the people cared more about how, you know, class or whatever between their people, they took the child away along with her husband, and so because of that, she decided to just forego the responsibilities of an adult if that's what adults have to do. And so she would like, I would rather just be a kid. So she does wacky antics, she plays around, she tells everybody to call her little Washu, things like that. But at the same time, when when they do showcase that Washu is being serious, or she takes an actual standpoint or a higher or more so a more in what I was gonna say. Basically, when she be trying to fuck Tenchi, she turns to her adult form because it's right, it's proper, it makes sense. Hell, they even have moments where she goes into her god form because she's one of the three goddesses that created the universe or whatever. Tenchi Muyo lore, crazy. But you see that being copied in anime all the time, particularly harems, all the time. And essentially, you copy it because you saw the um, land, like you saw it for surface level rather than the deep, complex that the meaning that it actually had. And in order to try and cash in or hone in on the popularity of Tenchi Muyo, that's essentially what a lot of harems that are created out nowadays do. So that was one of the problems. That's one of the main problems that basically happened. And awkwardly enough, Tenchi Muyo AI does this awkward, ridiculous um, way of actually going about. It basically went in full circle. So since all cliches, almost all harem cliches, damn near stem from Tenchi Muyo AI. I mean Tenchi Muyo. All of the stuff that happened in Tenchi Muyo AI would have been cliches that basically came about because of Tenchi Muyo. Funny. And so you got the bland runoff characters, the arbitrary mention of female characters that have absolutely no meaning or no justification of being in um, near the main character. No one built up a rapport. You just introduce female character here, and now all of a sudden, yeah, you know, this is the good stuff. Now it now that it's cool. This is better now. So doing that um, made it all the more terrible because of the fact that it devolved more onto tropes rather than onto the actual nice lore, compelling story, deep characters that Tenchi Muyo actually has. Um, this is actually something that also it's similar to what happened in the other series as part of the Tenchi Muyo series, the War on Grimpler. Um, I don't know the English name for it because I only know the Japanese name and I don't know how to pronounce the Japanese name. But if I see it, I know. But it's the one that's based around Tenchi's brother. And in that series, they basically have a bunch of female characters who, just from the get go, immediately decide and understand that they like Tenchi's little brother. Now, they try to give the girls depth and complexity later on, but it's one of those things that's kind of awkward because of the fact that the girls already like the main character. Them seeing moments that make them like him even more make no sense, you know? So it's very weird and odd that they did that. But at the same time, they still had moments where those characters got some type of depth, complexity, some moments where I got to see what they were all about. I got to understand what the hell they were all about. They expanded the world building. They helped establish the characters, motives, just wants, needs, all that shit. And it's like you got to actually witness that. Now, granted, longer anime, much longer anime, but at the same time, they still did it. You know, there's an anime that basically run in a shorter time frame than all of those 50 episodes of Tenchi Muyo AI that still accomplished that with more characters. In fact, even in a harem. So I don't see it as an excuse. And then the fact that they already had pre-established characters that they were using from Tenchi Muyo, and then they were trying to bring up these other new characters that all insinuate or come from another story, just it just missed opportunity. Very very terrible um, in just all around structure, bearing, and just the execution was just very very bad. The constant use of a school setting, having Tenchi be a student teacher when he himself is still a frickin' student in the world of Tenchi Muyo. Bad. And it's really, really bad. It's bad to do that. It's bad that they did that. But they did that. Having the student council be in control of everything, and then whatever they say go. Then making the main character go to a school that's only female. All of these things were just terrible tropes that just kept piling on and on and on and on to the terribleness of the series. I can't tell you enough how much I fucking hated watching this thing. It was terrible. It, man, made me die a little inside. So, there, hmm, I don't, I can't express exactly how much I didn't like it, and nor can I tell you any more of just how bad it was as a series. Completely forgettable characters, completely forgettable story, completely forgettable plot. There's really nothing to it. They didn't even do successfully the Momotaro story, nor was there any bearing on anything remotely related to Tenchi in it. Um, they had so many moments that contradict actions that were taking place or that was showcased earlier in the series that basically they followed through. Just contradictions in general. That just was really ridiculous. Moments where Tenchi was apprehended by GXP members, but at the same time, the man fought a giant robot with his little lightsaber sword. So stupid things like that. Then you have Ryoko being able to phase in and out of stuff, and then um, alter her body in order to do certain things, turn invisible, fly, and whatnot. But then she couldn't crawl through the dirt, and then when she saw something, she didn't just phase through the rock. But then when she escaped, she phased through the rock. You see, like, stupid contradictions like that, which make the story just god awful. So, I. It just wasn't worth the time that I invested into watching it. At the same time, uh, it's something that realistically you cannot say is a Tenchi Muyo series because it breaks away so much from the Tenchi Muyo stuff. The fact that they just use his name is the only thing that should be taken seriously from this. Um, so it called itself Tenchi Muyo AI, but it realistically could be further from the truth to be anything in any type of relation to Tenchi Muyo. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about this. That's my review for it. I hated every freaking minute of it. And I keep looking back. I'm someone playing a game and shooting people, and I'm very much interested in it. But I was trying to do this at the same time while I'm eating gummy lifesavers. Love me some gummy lifesavers. Ugh. Well, I hope in the future they promote me. Like they want me to do commercials for them or something. Wouldn't that be peachy keen? So, in the end, my rating for it, Tenchi Muyo AI is basically a 1 out of 10. If I was to rate it between 1 out of 10, I would give it a 1. Um, the animation is very subpar. The only positive thing is that they did a very good redesigning of Ryoko. She looks far more mature. She looked a hell of a lot better. Tenchi eyes got more slanted, and his figure actually toned down. Considering that he's supposed to be older in this series, he looked a lot weirder. Um, they hiked up the age of Sasami, but they lowered the figure of Tenchi. If you see Tenchi from like Tenchi Muyo GXP, which is a series that came out before Tenchi Muyo AI, Tenchi's actually pretty big. He's stout. He's very muscular, and it makes sense because of this training that he went through. Because after Tenchi Muyo was established, then he started to undergo training in order to be someone that can protect everyone with the Lighthawk sword and whatnot. But it's also something that he's been doing his whole life. They've been purposely training him for things. So it the animation wasn't anything good. A lot of the jokes were all of the jokes were incredibly one-note jokes that were already done before and seen before. Basically, it just ran on the cliche train over and over and over again. There was nothing in the dialogue that was anything new or special. And one of the annoying things that Funimation does when they reuse voice actors to play characters that they already play in a series for. So to hear a lot of these voice actors who basically you would already have heard in Tenchi um, appear again in Tenchi, just lazy on Funimation's part because they could have got other people. It just like the Devil Princess of Jirai from Tenchi Muyo GXP was the principal in Tenchi Muyo AI in the dub version. So again, lazy, like very very lazy in that aspect. Did not care for it. Did not like that. But that's what happened. So there was nothing to the story. There was no insignificant points in the story. There was nothing creative about the story. It ultimately boiled down between the friendship to these two random characters, one who had little to no character progression whatsoever, and all she did was continuously whine and cry about the fact that she's incredibly strong without actually ever doing or showing anything of the fact that she wanted to change. She was the brooding teenage boy, but they just made her a super strong girl. So that was weird. And then you have the main female protagonist who, and despite the fact she was pink, tried to usher in the whole friendship spiel. Or I just want to be friends. I just want to talk to you. I feel like we should be close. And ultimately gave her some type of meaning on damn near one of the last episodes where they had her basically talk about exactly what all she wanted to do and what her goals and plans were, which came incredibly flat as soon as the story progressed or changed direction into the whole Galaxy Police thing coming to the school and trying to stop Washu for something. So nothing of importance happened. Nothing of significance happened. Everything was incredibly ridiculous. They even tried to force Tenchi to care about the pink-haired girl character, but again came up flat, and it made absolutely no sense because they didn't really spend enough time together to uh, insinuate or make any sense that they would have such deep connection to one another. So it was very, very weird, very odd, very bad. But that was Tenchi Muyo AI. So with that, I'm going to end this now. I'm going to finish off my gummies and basically try to watch something else to get this terrible taste out of my mouth. I'm incredibly disappointed in Tenchi Muyo AI. There was something about it that just made. Now, initially, I stopped watching it. I don't know why I'm stuttering because I got food in my mouth. But I initially stopped watching it when it first was airing because of the short run time and the fact that what I used to do to watch anime back then, it wasn't it wasn't worth the time to go through um, to get to an anime that only had 5 minute long episodes. So luckily they have them all out. You can watch the whole thing dubbed on YouTube right now because no one cares. It's a failed anime. So yeah, no one cares. They also had like when I was looking that up, they also had Duel, which is weird. That is very weird. They had all the episodes of Duel. I was very confused with that. Um, if you didn't know, Duel is another anime that's technically a part of the Tenchi Muyo mythos, um, and it is related to the Tenchi Muyo mythos, but it's an okay watch. It's an okay watch. If you get past the cross dressing stuff, oh, which is another thing Tenchi Muyo AI did, which is a horrible, horrible trope as it is a lame runoff joke now. To be where if you take the main character and dress him up in drag, for some reason he's supposed to be taken as incredibly pretty. Also, the fact that this is done at the expense of other characters who they already stipulate or bring up as incredibly pretty. This also falls short and ridiculous in a school where you have nothing but females. In order to insinuate that, girls ultimately appreciate another pretty girl far more than a man does, which is again really dumb, really stupid. It's been done multiple times before, and it's just so boring and stupid to do, especially when you have a character that's capable of not putting up with the shit, and then he puts up with the shit. That's even worse. It's just like when characters leave clothes inside of someone's bathroom and then they walk out wearing the clothes that were left in the bathroom rather than leaving the bathroom and going to get other clothes, but then they walk out and they go, how could you dress me up like this? Well, you put it on. So it's stupid crap like that. And it just, it's one of those things you look at and you go, no normal person would do this. And I get that this is supposed to be used as a cliche gag, but again, if it's not funny, it ain't funny. Alright, that's it for my review. Yeah, Tenchi Muyo AI, 1 out of 10. I hate it. If you're a fan of the Tenchi Muyo series, I highly recommend that you do not watch this, as it will ultimately just make you upset. You're far more likely to just look at anything that's like a subsidiary of Tenchi Muyo. Go watch Pretty Sammy or something like that. Definitely stay away from this. This was not worth anyone's time. It wasn't worth my time. It wasn't worth the time that they spent on making it. It is just ultimate shit. It has been a very long time since I've been this annoyed with an anime onto just every core fucking level. I mean, there's always at least something in an anime that I can appreciate or like, and in this one I found nothing outside of Ryoko's brand new design, and that alone cannot even usher in some type of brand new point or whatnot. Because if it like I would then say because of that one positive, that's what grants it a one. But ultimately, this is just a failed anime that failed on every aspect. Did they even get tourism for that? For the mountain that they did this anime for? I don't fucking know. I don't live in Japan. But the anime as a whole, I look at it and I go, yeah, this was a piece of shit. They really shouldn't have used the Tenchi IP. They should have used it for something else. If they took into consideration to do the Tenchi IP with like the short little 5-minute episode thing, if they were to do some of the quirky slapstick antics and that's what the entire anime was about and not try to have an overarching story, would have been a hell of a lot better. That honestly, I would let that go. All of the jokes and the wacky antics and everything would have hit home if it was just kept in house with between Tenchi Muyo. So that's really it. So my name's Danieltheflame. As soon as I see something, hold on. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just looking to see what else. But yeah, keep on the lookout. I will be dropping exactly the website to Carpet, which will be coming out pretty soon. As soon as that's dropped, I will let everyone know. But yes, Carpet is a comic book made by these guys, who I happen to be a part of. We put our blood, sweat, and tears into it. We will be appearing at the Atlanta Comic Con coming up in August. And so if you're someone who's capable of getting there to see me in person and ask me my viewpoints on stuff, and go, hey, I think your taste in anime is shit. And I go, oh, thank you. So I definitely would say, oh, thank you. But yeah, definitely check us out. We'll be there selling the comics if you want a signed copy or anything like that. I don't even know exactly who all like my viewers are or where they're located at, but I'm just self-promoting right now. So yeah, I'll let you know as soon as I'm able. As soon as the comic itself drops, like it's finished. We just need to drop the website so people can actually start to go buy it. So I'm pushing that as hard as I can right now, so we can build up some type of rapport for it. So tell your friends. It's a nice little comic, easy, nice little comic for the kids. It's kid friendly, adult friendly. Like essentially, if you grew up during the era of cartoons, Dexter Laboratory, Powerpuff Girls, Ed, Edd n Eddy, basically so did we. So you'll get a good, like you'll have that type of thing, but it's clean comedy, so very good for the kids and whatnot. So you definitely like it. So yeah, that's all for that self promotion. I'll probably have more to talk about later. As soon as I do, I will let you know. But until then, my name is Danieltheflame. This has been Fun with Flame, and as always, I hope you had fun.